Rock and roll. All right. Good to see you all. What a great day today, Wednesday, October 14, 2020. I am here it's a sunny intersection at Portage and Main in Winnipeg, Manitoba, but it is not warm today. This week is expected to be minus anywhere from 5 to 8 degrees, the lows on Celsius. That is chilly. That's not going to be pleasant. Winter is arriving. It's coming. It's hitting us on the side of the head with a 2x4 right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Good to see you all, guys. I'm Rob Tatro from robtatro.com, portfolio manager here at Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management and at the Tatro Wealth Advisor Group. And I am pretty excited. I'm jacked, actually, for our guest today. It's really neat when we get CEOs, when we get people who are actually, decision makers. They're impacting lives of a lot of people. The decisions they make impact, the market, the GDP, stock prices, everything. So I'm thrilled to bring on today. Let's bring him in right away. Keith Hontz. Keith, welcome. Keith is CEO and president of Savantis. Welcome to the Tatro Show, Keith.
Thanks, Rob. It's great to be here. Appreciate it.
All right. Now you're in Philadelphia, so it's pretty neat. You're definitely not getting minus 8 degrees out there today, I would imagine.
It's beautiful, sunny, about 70 degrees here. I need to be outside. So can we wrap this up soon?
Yeah, right away. You can get to your golf tee time.
Love it. Hope you had an enjoyable Thanksgiving holiday up in the Great White North.
Yeah, we did, although it was lockdown for us here in Winnipeg. The cases are spiking for COVID, so no family gatherings were permitted on the weekend in the city of Winnipeg, limited to 10. I think it was 8 or 10 people outside of Winnipeg, so it was very, very limited to what we could do. But so I saw some of my family on limited basis, but not much. How about you guys? The COVID spiking there and lockdown, or what?
Same thing. They were saying prepare for a virtual Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday ahead. So it's a challenging time for everybody, but we're going to get through this. I'm confident of that.
Can I do a virtual trip to Barbados or Hawaii? Is that possible?
Well, they're offering virtual office space there. That's a plus, right?
Okay. So, hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please take a sec to subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, take a second to like, to share, Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever you're watching, please like or share. If you got some comments, please throw them down in the box below, wherever you're watching. We'd love to hear from you. We do have a CEO of a very pretty interesting, reputable, large business here today. So I'm going to ask him a bit about, so today I'm going to ask Keith about, I want to ask him about leadership, what brought him to where he is. I want to ask him about the software revolution, the companies he works with, what he sees in the future. Real quick before we get to that, let's talk about the headlines in the market. The Dow finished down about 129 points to 28,550. The S&P down 23 points to 34,488. This is on a time delay, I think, so that's maybe not quite closed yet. In Canada, the TSX was also down about 35 points to 16,475. Oil is up 85 cents to 41.15. Big highlights today that are moving the market, I'd say definitely the stimulus talk, COVID, the vaccine talk. So now today they announced Eli Lilly. They're suspending their vaccine. So AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, now Eli Lilly. I guess some people are getting sick. I don't know exactly the story there, but a little concerning, I would say. I don't know if you've been following that story at all, Keith.
Yeah, some mysterious illnesses are coming from some of the fast tracks of some of the stage trials that they're doing, which it just tells you the story that it's an 18-month journey for a vaccine to be developed, and we're doing everything possible to fast track. And sometimes you get those situations where things go a little sideways. So I think it's error on the side of caution.
Yeah, we had a virologist, an epidemiologist, and several infectious disease experts on the show in the early days, and we've talked about this exactly how, well, in their words, you're not going to get a vaccine by the election because you need time to get through these things. So bank earnings today. So Goldman Sachs hit a home run out of the park with their earnings. Wells Fargo disappointed, Citi disappointed. BlackRock was really, really strong. Most of the financials, I'd say overall, strong earnings, strong. The financials on the U.S. side are coming back, and they're starting to come back on the Canadian side as well. Not sure if you own any of those in your portfolio, but they've been performing okay here after being a huge laggard in 2020.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think financial services has been a bellwether. And of course, I'm pretty bullish being from the technology space. I'm pretty bullish on tech companies with Apple's iPhone announcement and just tech being a lot less impacted in this crisis than other industry verticals. So for me, I think that there's lots of potential there. And certainly as more companies go digital, and go online. When you think about Amazon Prime Day happening, yesterday and today, there's lots and lots of people doing more online. So from an omni-channel commerce perspective, that's a good place to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the neat announcement that I followed today was Walmart announcing that they were going to try to kind of come up with a comparison to Prime Day, and they're trying to move as many people as possible online to the purchasing and away from the kind of rush that is typically the Black Friday, as you Americans would for sure know and love. Interesting story. Anyways, so Keith, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
on that.
rock and roll. Yeah, I've seen that. I saw the Walmart big SAP customer actually as well, and some of the innovative things that they're doing, which I think they have potential to change the game quite a bit.
All right, so let's get into SAP. First things first. So you talk a lot about SAP. Anyone who follows you online, anyone who knows you a little bit, this is something that's in your blood. It's kind of something that's came up. You were at SAP for 22 years. First of all, tell us what SAP is, and then tell us kind of what your experience was with SAP early on in your career.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I did spend 23 years, not to get too specific on you, but it was a journey of a lifetime at SAP. SAP is considered the #1 enterprise application software company on the planet Earth. 77% of the world's transactions revenue touches an SAP system in some way, shape, or form. So that gives you a little bit of a sense for the breadth and depth of the company itself. About 25 industries SAP specifically focuses in on. They're game-changing, if you will, enterprise resource planning, which is where they really got their start in the early days with R2, R3, and now S/4HANA is sort of at the core of this intelligent enterprise that really helps companies run better at the end of the day, and really helps them with their digital transformation. So SAP is definitely an industry leader. They also have a product where I have aligned to in my couple of decades at SAP that's currently titled SAP Customer Experience, and that's the front office capability, if you will, the sales, the marketing, the customer service, and as we were talking about with Amazon, the online commerce for companies that want to survive a pandemic and move all of their ordering to an online digital environment. So that's another area that I've been focusing in on. And of course, SAP is in Canada with a few thousand employees across multiple locations. Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Waterloo is up there with some great SAP customers as well in the Great White North that I've had a chance to meet with in my former time at SAP. Hopefully
Nice.
that helps.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So ERP really is what kind of started SAP, from what I understand. That kind of springboarded them. If I take a look at, just share my screen real quick with you guys, the actual stock price today, $157.44. The stock is a 200 billion cap, so $196 billion market cap, trading at a 35 PE, 35 price to earnings multiple, approaching its all-time high of $158. There is a small dividend yield of a $1.10 on it, but to put this in perspective, $200 billion company, the largest non-US company, and I believe the third largest software company in the world. So what did you do at SAP? And how come you're no longer there?
Good question. Yeah. So I actually started my professional career at DuPont, which actually was SAP's very first customer in the US. And kind of the reason why SAP headquartered outside of Philadelphia, DuPont said to SAP, hey, we'll try out this German software, but you're going to need a headquarter within 30 miles of Wilmington, Delaware. So that's kind of the story as to why SAP is not out in the Silicon Valley, for example, like a lot of the other software players and the tech giants that you probably are very familiar with. So I spent 6 years at DuPont, big SAP customer, and I got the opportunity to move into SAP directly to run their sales and marketing systems of all things, and really run SAP software internally at SAP. So that was my first chance to really get to know the sales and marketing side of SAP, which wasn't all that extensive back in the day. It was, if you will, customizing the ERP platform to be used for a sales person or a marketing person. So it was it was definitely a little bit challenging in the beginning. But then, as SAP further developed their customer experience set of solutions, it was an area where I saw some tremendous opportunity, knowing what the likes of Seawell and Salesforce.com were doing in the marketplace at that time in the late 90s. And so I was sort of on the ground floor of the SAP CRM business back in the day, in the early 2000s. And I spent the majority of my career in pre-sales, in product management, sales, and sales leadership roles throughout the rest of my time at SAP, and really responsible for our evolution from on-premise to now the cloud, which is really the focus for SAP, to provide cloud-based solutions to run your business, whether it be on the back office side, S/4HANA, on a cloud environment, or the SAP customer experience cloud-based environment for the front office. So it was an incredible opportunity. And now here at Savantis, I'm really excited to be here as an SAP Gold partner. And what I should mention is the partner opportunity. I was just on an executive SAP partner call earlier this morning, where they mentioned an IDC study that has just come out that talks about SAP partner revenue, okay, which is what Savantis is all about, is a $260 billion opportunity by the end of 2024. So all the SAP software that is serviced by implementation and delivery consulting partners like Savantis, that's the potential size of that market that we're looking to go after. So we're bullish about driving revenue, very tightly partnered with SAP, but I think, with the cloud revenue growing so rapidly, about 68% of that revenue is in the cloud, and the CX business is the fastest growing. CX customer experience, SAP customer experience, is the fastest growing area, as we heard this morning. I think it just represents some tremendous opportunity as I look for my next chapter in my SAP relevant career here.
CX, customer experience. You talked about CRM, and I'm going to make sure to ask you to stop and describe these acronyms for our viewers, because not everyone knows them as well as you do or I do. In fact,
sure,
some of these I don't know either. So obviously, CRM is what we typically called customer experience back in the day. The customer relationship management is kind of the word that I know. You now call it
exactly
CX for customer experience. Let me ask you this: the companies that SAP deals with and that you guys deal with, are they, 100 million plus sales type companies, or do you have mom and pop type shops that deal with you guys as well?
It's a great question, Rob. And so SAP covers, Fortune 1000 companies very, very well. They're the enterprise leader in that space, but we also have a vibrant, if you will, mid-market business, and that's really where most of the growth is going to come for SAP and for Savantis in particular. A lot of our customers that we've been serving are in that mid-market space. So let's call it under $1 billion in annual revenue, for example. And that's a line that gets moved around every once in a while with SAP in terms of how they categorize the companies. But you look at just customers in Canada, for example, a handful of those like ATB Financial runs SAP. Canadian Blood Services, really important right now. You think about
it's in you to give.
Vitally. Right, absolutely.
That's the slogan. That's the slogan. It's in you to give.
Absolutely, right, and that's they categorize that as a mid-market, type of company on the smaller side. But they use SAP to book, 1.5 million appointments for donors a year using an SAP CRM system, and also they use it for billing and finance and some of the accounting as well. And giants like Canadian Tire, they have an online presence with SAP Commerce, as an example. We just heard that story. And really, how do you drive demand in a pandemic, and where most of that's going to be, or more of it's going to be online? And so they saw a 20% increase. I just heard that story earlier. Home Depot Canada, National Bank of Canada, just to name a few, are all SAP customers that have leveraged SAP in some way, shape, or form to run various aspects of their business, either on the back office side or on the front office side as well.
National Bank, I've never heard of them. But anyway, can we, so with respect to the actual usage rate, or how much is, I'm curious about the e-commerce, that specific part of SAP. So you mentioned that Canadian Tire did that to do some CX, I think, to reach out.
Sure.
And the blood services, they did that to reach out. Is this I imagine this has to be one of the fastest growing segments of SAP.
Absolutely. The commerce pillar, if you will, inside SAP customer experience is absolutely exploding in terms of growth, and the crisis that we're currently in just further accelerated that. That's always been, if you will, the leading solution when you look at an SAP customer experience engagement. That certainly provides the most return on investment. We just heard from Maui Jim, who sells their eyeglasses, their sunglasses online. And also services the broken ones using a CX or customer experience solution as well. So yeah, commerce has been a very I'd say provocative part of the portfolio. SAP acquired an industry leader by the name of Hybris back in 2013 to really catapult them into the commerce space. And Gartner just came out with a great Magic Quadrant that put SAP Commerce, on the top right, far right and upper left, or far upper right of the quadrant in terms of the competitive, positioning of how well it delivers on both B2C and B2B digital commerce. So definitely some exciting things going on there. And a number of our customers are working with us right now in that very light as well. In fact, one of the success stories I'll share with you, ArcLight Cinemas is one that I'll tell you a little bit more about, that has leveraged the full portfolio of S4 HANA, of success factors for talent management and HR, human resources, as well as SAP CX Commerce and marketing. So all of that to run their theaters, which are unfortunately are currently closed at the moment, but I'm excited to see that industry go into full recovery and expansion mode, honestly, in the years to come.
Yeah, I think people are going to want to get back to a theater at some point for sure. Hey, I want to before I get to you, I want to talk about you personally, your leadership style, what's changed for you and stuff. Just reminder, I'm here with Keith Hontz, CEO and president of Savantis, SAP expert, kind of carved his whole lifetime learning the ins and outs of SAP, now running a gold partner of SAP. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, take a sec to subscribe and like. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments. Keith, let's talk about your leadership style generally. I imagine you're not seeing a lot of staff these days.
Yeah, it's a good question, Rob. And I'm definitely a social and interactive type of person, very used to walking the halls of an office or a team area and working together, workshopping topics, getting ready for a sales call together. I started the first war room at SAP, which is a physical location to bring salespeople together to talk about various engagements and our win strategies and themes and things along those lines. But in this incredible time that we're dealing with, it is 100% virtual for us. In fact, the last company that I left was an email infrastructure company, and March 13th came along, and we said, let's just try to see if we can run this company from our home office as sort of a trial, and just see if we have that accountability and that trust level. See if we can really pivot to a remote working environment, and it was a huge success. And then Pennsylvania came out and said, there will be no, unless you're a mission critical or critical employee or healthcare worker, you're really not allowed by law to go into your office. So luckily for us, we timed it perfectly and have been remote ever since. And same thing here with Savantis. We've adopted a fully remote workforce. We're looking to change up the lease that we currently have on the building that I'm sitting in, because there's a lot of unused space here. We're definitely looking at virtual office environments, but just to get back to the original question on leadership style, I think I would probably describe my style as one of accountability and trust. I think just like in sales, people buy from people they like and trust. I think people work for people they like and they trust. I think it's important to have a personal relationship, but also have that trust level where folks are going to do what they ask or do what I ask of them and report back. And the fact that we're not sitting in a physical office together, doesn't mean we can't stay 100% aligned on the goals and objectives that we've set out to accomplish for the current quarter or for the year, as an example. So we definitely have virtual happy hours. We definitely have
how does that work?
Leadership team meetings. Well, it's you got to bring your own beverage, and you got to be committed to not driving after the meeting, and we'll usually celebrate and provide some updates on a job well done from various teams, and also we'll have a little bit of a presentation component to it, and we'll raise our glass and toast to a job well done. So it's the best we can do under the circumstances, and I've as I was saying before we started airing, at this point in the year, in a typical year, Rob, I would have 75,000 miles and a couple of hundred hotel night stays where I'm meeting with customers or attending events or going to conferences, and all of that has come to a little bit of a screeching halt. So we're having to resort to things like our Stay Safe kits. So we're sponsoring team happy hours for SAP and reconnecting with folks and providing them with lunch on Savantis with some DoorDash gift cards, and doing the best we can, in these circumstances, trying to think outside the box a little bit to really stay connected and stay engaged. So it's been an incredible time for us to try to replace that human interaction that everyone craves, I think, so much more than ever before.
Is 2020 going to be a year of growth for Savantis, year over year?
2020 will probably be a year of growth for us. We'll definitely improve our profit margins, and so I think that's a very positive thing, to be able to just be sustainable in a year like this that has been challenging for many of the industries that we serve. I feel like we are in really excellent position to come out in 2021 as an absolute breakout year for us. And so
let me ask you this then. So you guys are growing, you've figured out the remote, you've got the remote office, you got the remote happy hour, you're sending people lunch at home, you're running largely a cloud or almost exclusively a cloud-based business. Are you going to do 100,000 miles next year on the plane? Is that changing? Are you guys going to go back to the office setting? Is there an actual, seismic shift in how business is going to be done in Philadelphia or in North America?
I think that I don't think it's going to come back to the level of, let's say, 2019, where it was, a heavy sort of travel sort of environment. So any conference, any customer meeting, a 1 hour meeting was let's jump in a plane and let's do that meeting in person, because we feel like it's going to be a better impact and we're going to get a better engagement there. So I think better decisions are going to be made around travel. I think that it's not going to be an all or nothing. I think there's going to be a moderate level of travel that's going to increase. I think Vince Guzzo said this on a webinar. When there's a recession or a pandemic sort of situation where folks are literally starved for human interaction or entertainment or just doing business in person, the next 6 years will be kind of a record run in those types of industries with the kind of pent up demand. So I don't know what sort of level it'll be, but I can tell you it'll be much more than 2020 has kind of played out. And so I think that we're gonna, as much as I tell people, this is a temporary situation. As much as folks think that we're all doomed to our home offices, in perpetuity, this is a temporary situation. It's going to improve. It's going to get better. And these days will not last forever. And so when I look at entertainment, I just went to my very first soccer game on Sunday. They let 15% of folks into the Philadelphia Union soccer stadium. We actually played the Montreal Impact. And we won 2-1. Go Union. But it was very refreshing. Even though I'm looking out at an empty stadium, it was still just refreshing to get out, and I did not feel unsafe in any way. And that's just, I think, what you're going to start to see, folks wanting to get out, with a certain level of responsibility and some safety baked into it. I think there's countries that are making this work a lot better than the U.S. is, and hopefully we can learn from some of our global friends around the world on how to moderate and get back to some sort of normalcy.
Yeah, I think 2021, I mean, we just expanded our space here. We had a deal where we were expanding our space, and now it looks like we're probably going to need it because of the social distancing requirements between desks and stuff. So,
Sure.
There can't be that many companies right now that are considering kind of, significant office space expansions, I would imagine. But I'm certainly
agree.
not, like, I traveled, I don't know how many miles I traveled last year. I think it was 39 trips. So for me, the 1-day meeting, I don't know how many of those. And for me, I think I'm going to put that to bed. I think I'm going to put that concept to bed and just focus on, if I need to travel for a conference or for something, I'm going to appreciate and enjoy doing that. But
sure.
the fly in, do the 1-hour meeting and fly back and lose your whole day. Cause I'm in Winnipeg. So I'm like, you're close to New York and Washington and everything. But for me, it wasn't that convenient. Anyways, I do want to respect your time. I know you got a 4:30 Eastern. So I want to ask you about some of the books that you've read that have most positively influenced you as a leader, or podcast or documentaries, whichever one of the three you want to address.
Well, you know what? I don't have it here in the office. It's in my home office. But two of the books that I've had a chance to read in between jobs. One of those is it's called Get a Grip. And it's a little bit of a business management type of book. It's a philosophy that we've adopted here. I think I've got sort of the manual here. So it's really a philosophy. It's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. They're getting a free plug here as I try to do my best. So it's EOS. But what it does for us is it really allows everyone to sort of stay on the same page from a goals and objectives standpoint, from a kind of key milestones. We have a scorecard that's built into this, and that really, I think, has really kept us very streamlined and organized, especially when we're managing this business remotely. So I think that's a really good book. And I also really decided to reread First Break All the Rules, which was one of my favorite also a management book that I hadn't read in a while, but I cracked that back open because I knew coming into this role here at Savantis that we were going to need to do things a little differently and think outside the box and look at ways for us to generate some incremental revenue. So that ArcLight Theater example, where although their doors are closed, that represents a game-changing opportunity for us. We published that solution up on the SAP App Center, the online marketplace for extension solutions for industries. And once the industry starts to recover, we're going to be first in line for those cinemas that are looking for, how do we better scale? How do we have a more flexible solution that's built on an industrial strength solution like SAP? So I think those are some good sort of game changers that book sort of helped reopen my eyes a little bit and think a little differently on.
All-time favorite movie or TV show?
Oh man, that's a good one. So Jim Carrey is my favorite. I know he's Canadian, so I got to say, pretty much anything he comes out with.
Ace Ventura, awesome. The Mask, Truman Show.
Mask is
early
awesome.
Jim Carrey, like early Jim Carrey when he was like wah, like crazy Jim Carrey. Or?
The Grinch is probably one of my favorite ones. We watched that one every Christmas.
Liar was good.
Liar was awesome.
Irene was good.
Yeah, he's brilliant, and he does a bang up job playing Joe Biden. Not to get political on the mock debate they showed on SNL
as a fly on
awesome. Right. Yeah, exactly.
He was actually very good in the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind too, which is one that gets forgotten if you haven't checked that one out.
That's a good one. Absolutely.
I do know you got a charity that's deep to your heart and core to your heart. Do you want to mention it real quick?
Yeah, I do. So I'm very, very philanthropic, and I took our whole entire team to Phil Abundance, which was, if you will, the food bank for the Philadelphia area, and the Chester County Food Bank is right around the corner from Savantis here in beautiful sunny Exton, Pennsylvania. So definitely, when you think about the food insecure population, it was 1 in 6, and then with the pandemic, those numbers sort of went off the charts. Folks are unable to collect a paycheck, and so it really starts to hit you personally. So wherever we can find ways to give back either our time, our resources, or financial gifts to a company like that, it's something that I'm really passionate about. So thanks for letting me share that as well, Rob.
Good for you. Some good plugs here today. Some really, really good nuggets. You brought the fire today. It was so good. Thank you for bringing,
Thank you.
The leadership skills that what you talked about. Anyone who's interested in SAP, there's a ton of information online. Really, really neat. The future is definitely cloud. I thank you, Keith, for coming on the show today. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, please take a sec, subscribe, and like. If you'd like to book a no obligation consultation with us to chat about your investments, your portfolio, your retirement planning, anything that's on your mind, please go to www.speaktorob.com. Today, August 14th, 2020. Thanks again so much, Keith, for tuning in. And I will wish you and all our viewers a great day.
Absolute pleasure, Rob. Thanks so much. Take care.
All right.
Be safe.
Take care, guys.